All right, just working away again today. Want to keep it nice and simple. While I'm here, right at the start of the stream, I will say to anyone who is watching this at some other future point, the normal requests apply: like, comment, subscribe if you're on the YouTube channel. It's just a VOD, so if you sit and watch the whole thing, that's completely up to you. But spreading the word, all that kind of stuff is important. If you're on Twitch watching a VOD, please consider following the channel. If you like it and are a programmer or something like that, or know a programmer who might like it, share this out, get the word out. Those sorts of things help me out. And finally, I have a Patreon. The link is in my About page on Twitch. You can go there and support me that way if you are so inclined. I'm gonna click the little send out button and tweeterino, and I'm gonna pop open my my chat on my phone, and then I can just get right to work. I'll be plugging away at 2D design stuff again because I got caught doing other work. I was messing around with Pandoc a little bit, which it's tangential to what I'm doing during the stream, but is relevant to my document generation pipeline. Pandoc is amazing, so I was kind of learning the ropes of that a little bit, trying to get things sorted out. Anyway, I won't be worrying about that today. I'll be worrying about this stuff, getting it working nice and smoothly, hopefully getting it getting the wrinkles ironed out a little bit so that code quality is improved across the board. Those are the goals, generally speaking. So let me do one of these over here. Oh. All right. What am I looking for here? Oh, yes. The internet. Okay. Pop out the chat. Okay. All right. So I am in the middle of scratching my head and literally and figuratively scratching my head trying to figure out how I can get this SVG group rotation thing all fixed up and hashed out, because I feel like I'm nearly there, but I've just been busy with other things, so I haven't been thinking about it all that well. So I'm also slowly moving my coffee toward me. I'm having a day, I'll say that. Okay. Just sitting here thinking about my life. That's distracting me a little bit. You might notice that, but it's okay. For the next few hours, I don't have to think about my life beyond the context of just trying to work out this bit of programming. Just get things working is the name of the game here. Get things working and write myself a few little notes to get things working better in the future. That's the whole goal, really. Okay, so the problem I have is basically around this. These two triangles are in a group tag, and I can translate that group around, no problem, but as soon as I apply my rotate function to the group, it messes with the location of the constituent elements of that group, when what I want to happen is that they rotate around the group's center point, which is here, the blue dot. This red dot is just the 10 translation point here. Which I'm realizing actually is I gotta think about if that's how I want group behavior to be, because actually, while I'm at it, let me think about this for a minute. This should be a little bit of an easier fix. If I go to the translate operation on groups, which is down here, of course, what should happen is something maybe, or what I could have happen is something kind of like this, where the center point of the group is what ends up at the position that you translate. No, that doesn't actually make any sense, because that would totally break, or that could totally break certain expectations of, what am I saying? That wouldn't necessarily be intuitive, I guess, is the simplest way to say that. So let's not even go there, actually, while I think about that. That seems like it would be fine to not worry about. So what I've got going here is actually just let me double check that the logic here makes sense. Yeah, I think that's okay. Let's use that. Okay, so right. If I, oops, not at all what I meant to do. That's weird. Well, okay, that's just the way that is. Okay. What I want to happen. What do I want to happen? This rotation thing, unfortunately, messes up placement of these objects in the group. Okay, so that's not helpful, obviously. So I need to fix that. I need to figure all this out. And I'm thoroughly confused, but I feel like I can get there. So it's just a matter of time. And I have to go not into path, but transforms. Group rotate is where I need to focus, because rotating a single element, a single path element works. I can do that judging, well, at least there's some glitches, but it's getting better anyway. Okay. Right, so let's comment this part out again for a second. So this is the shape, and what is ideally happening is that shape, that square with the diagonal through it, which is actually two triangles, when I rotate it, just pivots around this blue point here. And if I rotate it 45 degrees, then theoretically this diagonal line goes exactly vertical, because it's an isosceles triangle where the diagonal is at 45 degrees based on how it's currently drawn. So if I pivot it around that blue line, then it should just, yeah, just twist around it with the triangles shouldn't move around each other at all. That is not the behavior I want. Okay, so the idea is that, well, first of all, it's a good quick way to show this. Oh yeah, I'll do this. I'll do I'll draw another little thing here at 2010. Oops. And I'll rotate it as well. But first, I will comment out that rotate. So there should be another triangle. Okay, the color is not defined, but it doesn't matter for the point of this. Okay, so it's just there. This should just rotate around itself all the way, if that makes sense. Like, it should pivot exactly around its own midpoint, which is about here, and not wander all over. So the point is that the rotation of this shape is local to itself. It's just spinning around its own midpoint, and that is the behavior that I see, which I'm happy about. So what can I do with that next? Let's have a quick peek at what happens if I just put it into a group with itself. See there, it's already gone. Nothing makes sense, or I just don't know where it is. Right, so the rotate of that group is messing up for some reason. Right, it's putting it who knows where. If I rotate it first, does that make a difference? It does. Oh, interesting. Okay. That's actually, that's weird that that's happening. Or at least in my opinion, that's weird that that's happening. There's also this problem where things just stretch out and are in totally wrong positions, but that's a separate problem. Okay. Okay, well, Serenity. Serenity, no! Okay. If there is anyone tuned in at the moment, just lurking or whatever, feel free to join in the chat, talk about any projects you're working on, how your day's going. You can ask me questions. Despite all appearances, there are a few things I know quite well about CAD and design and whatnot. I'm just struggling a little bit today, trying to figure this one out. But you're totally allowed to join in chat and ask questions. I'm cool with that. I am cool with that. Okay. I wonder if I don't translate this. Maybe the problem is. Nope. That's strange to me. The reason that's strange is because if I don't translate this, oops, it looks like, without being able to see the whole shape here, it does look like it retains its proper form, at least a little bit. Right? It's not stretched this way. So why on earth would it be? So there is something wrong with something. Ugh. I'm going nuts over here. Okay, so translate. Path points that shouldn't make a difference really, but okay. Okay. Must confess, I don't know why that's happening. Not what I meant to do. Well, that one I'm gonna chalk up as something to handle in a bit, because I don't want to frustrate myself right now with that. So I'll leave that like that for now, just to make sure that this doesn't distort itself, at least initially. And I'm just gonna get rid of this because it kind of works for now. I need to focus on these two. Let's make them cyan for fun. That's the wrong. You know what? I don't need to mess with the colors. They're fine. Okay. This rotate. Gotta fix this one, because that's not right. It shouldn't be moving like that. It doesn't make any sense. It looks like I have half of the situation correct here. So by that I mean it looks like it's moving both children to the same position, which is not what I need. So let's have a look. Transforms. Rotate. Group rotate. It's really windy where I'm at. Hear a lot of noise outside. It's just gonna have to be okay. Okay, so the group midpoint is here, which should be, excuse me, calculated as this point. Here, wait 1 second here. Oh yeah, the rotate 0. Let's actually uncomment. Why didn't that do anything? There we go. It might be as simple as this. I realize it might be translate to 0, 0 to reset its position, and then translate to the calculated position, which is this thing. Let's see if that solves it. We'll find out. I will find out. Just gotta. The reason I have to like refresh and make changes to the document is to force it to reload the code from a different library. It's a bit tedious in this case, but it's not. Whoops. When things are running smoothly. Shoot, that didn't seem to fix the problem. Okay, well. Wait, no. Again, being a little bit silly here. This here. Let's pop that away. Let's do this. Translate to negative GMX, negative GMY. So I'm moving the child to 0, 0 as relative to like the group's midpoint before you do any transformations. If you subtract that vector, you'll end up where the child is centered, in theory, around that's not quite right, is it? You have to move it. Okay, so actually I think I might have to do this. I might have to move it both, and I could simplify this in a minute, but for the time being, I'm gonna do it a little differently here. At v times -1, -1. Being a little messy with this, but I just want to see if it works the way I expect. If it does, then I'll write some notes as to what's actually going on so that I don't confuse myself later, and then I can consolidate these different transformations into a more sensible approach that hopefully is consistent, but we'll see. Okay, so map v -1 times negative, or I'm just making this midpoint of the child negative so that I translate to that position, and then I translate so I'm subtracting, so I'm centering that particular child exactly on the origin, then I'm rotating it, and then from there I'm translating it to this position here, which is hopefully its new correct midpoint as calculated by rotating that midpoint a small distance around the axis. So let's see if my brain's making any sense today. If I comment this out, that should make it a square. Let me just hard refresh it one more time. Let's make it rotate 0 first of all. Close but not quite. Well, it's not close at all really. Okay, we're getting there though. I'm getting there. Actually, while I'm let's see, what's a clever way to do this? I should color these differently actually. Okay, so right here I can do that. Pink. Alright, let's see if that, okay. Right, so try 2. Let me just see if, okay, so try 2 ends up moved to the, it's like the negative inverse of its endpoint. So what does that mean? Exactly. Do I have to translate like this yet? Oh, I don't need to map V in this case. I don't know that this is correct, but I have to try. missing something here. Something may be obvious, I just can't track it yet. Okay, maybe I have to diagram it out. But let's just keep messing about for a bit. You know, do it the easy way, or the lazy way, if I'm being honest. Okay, so that's weirdly kinda better, but not good enough yet. See, because it's not rotating it as a single unit, so it's at least not crossing them over each other, right? That's good. Let's see if I do this. If that'll do the trick. I also just had a little thought about maybe I'm overcomplicating something. Let's have a quick peek here, see what happens. Well, we're back at this problem. Okay, so something doesn't completely make sense in my brain here, unfortunately. Okay, so this here is like the vector from 0, 0 to the midpoint of the whole group before any transformation occurs, which I need to be the same as after the rotation occurs. That's the whole idea. So the midpoint of a child element is the vector that is GM plus M prime, which is, so M prime is just a tiny little, is the vector from the midpoint of the group to the midpoint of the child element alone, right? So, which is, so M is from this to this, 0, 0 to the midpoint of the child. So the idea should just be the whole idea of this calculation is just you find the you subtract this vector so that you're left with just the tiny little distance like this. Then you rotate that, since you're at 0, 0 anyway, you rotate that around degrees. So you have some new position. Then you add back that vector, and that should get you to the new correct midpoint of that whole thing. Now here, this is where things went a little goofy, because what should be happening is just something along these lines. You just rotate the child, and then all you have to do is move it by some new vector, which is actually not xfm, right? Unless you translate first by, oh, I erased something. If you do this, whoops, this I shouldn't need theoretically, nor that. If I just take this, move it there, okay, so I've rotated the child element around its own midpoint. I translate from that midpoint, I subtract that, so now it's, yeah, I actually should do all of those things, right? So subtracting both of those things gets it to 0, 0, and then I translate to this transformed location, and it should now be in the correct spot. That's the theory. And the way the rotation works is it shouldn't matter when I apply it, because in theory it's rotating locally the individual child elements. So that should, in theory, be what I'm after. And if it's not, I'm gonna flip my lid. Not really, but I'm gonna be confused. Okay, so I'm close, but I'm not there. And I think I've arrived at this position already, so maybe I'm just rehashing. I'm just trying to think through it step by step. Let's try the next obvious thing, which is actually to do the rotation after all of this, and then have a look. This is all happening inside a for loop for each child element. So this is something that theoretically happens like independent, like on each child independently. That's the thing I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so it should be order independent, so this should not fix it, which is what I see. Okay, so that's to the drawing board again. I'll be right back though. Gonna fill up my coffee. Gotta tackle these problems. Gotta tell myself to keep trying. Let's get back to the chat there. And hope for the best. Okay. Alright, so just by sheer guessing, it kind of looks like I have these just in the backwards position. So if I just get rid of these and save that and refresh it and all that, will that fix my issue? It's a long shot, but if it works, I have to kind of think backwards through why that would be the case. And see how it goes. Okay, so what? I'm a little confused by that. Oops. Same problem. Okay. So I do know that the problem is not, or at least I'm reasonably sure that the order is independent in this case. I shouldn't need to what am I saying? The rotate call here, rotate 5 degrees, is order independent, or at least I thought it was, but that might actually not be true. So we'll kind of step through it a little bit. It is certainly the case that these two transformations do have to happen before I rotate to get it into the right. If the rotate is dependent, which I haven't confirmed yet, so my head's all over the place, I'll admit. It's definitely not my strongest programming day. I'll tell you that one up front, but I'll solve this one. I'll solve it like the other problems, a little bit at a time. Okay, so okay, so the group midpoint is the point around which I actually want everything to rotate, right? To transform a single child in the group, first I translate it to not to 0, 0. Wait a second. Maybe I do forget this. Let's think about it. Think about it. Excuse me. Right, that's not correct, as I know. What's going on here? Why is this midpoint thing? Why, this is confusing to me, I will admit. Okay, so actually what's happening here is, for some reason, the midpoint for each child is being calculated as the same point. And I don't see why that's true, because it shouldn't be true. Let's have a look here. If I here, if I do this, copy all this, run that in the REPL, just this. Try and try 2, right? And then I run this. Yeah, okay. So here I've got a group with 2 paths in it, nothing surprising there. If I do midpoint, did I define this or just run it? Oh, well, let's just do this first. SVG / midpoint of this. Oop. Okay. Not a number. Ah, that might be related to the issue here. What did I do wrong here? Let's see. If I don't rotate, well, something's wrong. Okay. Calm. I could be calm. I'm losing my mind over these problems. They really should be easier than this, but so here's kind of the context and why this is happening the way it is. I need to make some PDFs for this to actually release as a product. Now, it's not a tight, strict deadline, but I want to get it done. I want to get it done this week if I can. The whole idea was, I thought that these functions were in a usable state, like in an updated state, but I missed functionality and it didn't work as intended. Which, okay, that's fine. It's a little bit of to be expected because it's prototype work and whatnot. But if I did not have this project as the near-term goal to get done, I would be able to, properly refactor all of this. My idea, or my thought was, oh, this wouldn't be a big change. I would just make the change, go back to editing the document, and then follow through and refactor with the notes I take. But this has trapped me in a loop of not quite knowing what's going on. So that's the context. I was trying to get this other project done and then ran into this wall. So that's the reason I'm a little bit frustrated with myself, but there's nothing for it but to figure this out. So that's what I'm here doing, which is actually kind of a nice thing. So, it will be worth it. Figuring out what to do, write the notes here, get the document done, fix up the library, which after this iteration will be one step closer to a stable release, which is like the long-term goal for all these libraries. So really, if I take the long view, it's not a bad thing. I'm just stuck in the middle of I'm stuck in the middle of it, that's all. But okay. So it goes. So it goes. Right, so I've got this sort of weird issue at the moment where for some reason this midpoint function isn't working the way I thought. Oh, first let me do this. Okay, A is some group containing things. It's a technical term. Okay. Now, let's run svg/midpoint on A, and I get not a number, not a number. And the reason I get that is uncertain to me because I thought I fixed that. Clearly I have not fixed that. And that's related to this. Is it related to that? Let's do map svg/midpoint to yeah, okay, so that works. Oh, here's the, if I do midpoint, that's just a single element, or single point, I mean. Why is that? Why did that happen? Okay, so that is its own little worry, but if I do this, def a that. Okay, so now they're different. So if I now do svg/midpoint A, still not a number. I don't get that. That's very weird to me. Okay, well, what about this? Right, okay. Let's check that the correct source is loaded in here. Maybe there's a problem with that. Let's do clojure.repl/source for svg/midpoint element. Oh shoot. How do you get the source of a multi-method? Actually don't know how to do that. Yeah. I don't know. Clojure repl get source of def method. Whatever. I don't care that much right now. I'll just sort this out here. I'm pretty sure this is what's happening. So why is it erroring out like that on me? So let me figure this out first. If I do, okay, here I've got this list. If I take that into set like I've done in the implementation there, and then I run f/midpoint with that as its argument, it does give me a midpoint calculation out. So what's the deal here? What is the deal? That I don't understand. If I do Can I do this without mapping it, maybe? Let's try this. Oops. Not at all what I meant to do. Okay, so that is the same. Oh, I did the wrong thing here. Into, yeah, so that is theoretically not necessary, but it shouldn't make a difference. Where are the numbers coming from? That's my question right now. Other thing I did notice, if I redef A one more time here and give it this rotate, it does cause a weird error where the different paths have the same midpoint, right? So if I then run this, wrong thing, not what I'm trying to do. There. Okay, so when f/midpoint is given just a single point, let's say 1, 1. Oh, it does need to be a list or vector of vectors. It does correctly just return that point, so that's a non-issue. I'm a little bit confused, just a little bit confused. All right, let's go A nil, yeah, and the reason for that is because I refreshed this. So the REPL, the state kind of changes and it loses temporary defs, which is fine, it's not a big deal. Oh. Something's broken here. Is it this? Let's inspect this, have a look. Okay, so it is related to that. Okay, there we go. Hopefully this, okay. Kinda good, we're kinda back to where we need to be. Kinda not. Okay. Okay, that's weird. Right, so this rotate 0, it flipped the positions of the children elements without rotating. That shouldn't happen. Why is it doing that? Is it, if I do, let's have a look here. Let's assume midpoint's fine for now. Shaky, but I want to get this thing sorted. That's what I want to get done. Okay, so if I have a look at this, if I do into example empty props into this some list for x range 3, just making a contrived little setup here. I do inc x okay, that shouldn't be a problem. Right? That's theoretically okay. Let's go redef A for testing purposes here. Define ASDF as this function. Oh, right. Need to make some modifications here. Oop. Okay, ASDF A. Oh, right. Okay, all kinds of problems. Why is that? Okay, let's have a look here. Oh, maybe, is it that's not a problem. Why is that? How did that end up as? How did that happen? Let's have a look here. Where is that coming from? Is that in the translate? It might be in the translate, right? If I def A without a rotate and without, oops, a translate, what about no style either? Okay. If I do it with a translate here, but no style, style might be the culprit of a few problems. Let's have a look. Alright, here we are. Let's have a look at this. We'll change this to into k merge styles blah 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 content. Let's have a look. Fingers crossed this might fix the problem. We'll have to see. this, I should fix this while I'm here. Okay, moment of truth. Let's go up here, save some nominal change. Okay, it's not broken, that's a good sign. Good, okay. Let's redefine A. A is that whole thing. Let's do svg/midpoint A. Okay, we've got something now. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with something. Alright, so let's define try as that. Ooh, okay. That's normal. Still broken. Okay. But we're kind of on the right track. We're fixing other problems that are coming up. That's a good thing. Save these changes. Good. Let's head back into the rotate group function and figure this one out. Right? That's what I need to do here. Okay. So okay. Let's maybe clean this up a little bit. Let's call V is FV plus is just GMX GMY plus M. That is the vector from 0, 0 to the unmoved midpoint of the child, theoretically. Right, so then my calculation here should be instead to subtract no, see, this it should be irrelevant, right? That shouldn't, I shouldn't need that. I kind of need a new vector. And it's not, that's not the vector I want. If I just rotate that, that's not the sweep, it'll sweep the thing too far. That's not what I need. I need a brain that's working. Okay, that's all right. It's all right. kind of hope everyone else is having a better day than I am. Running my head around in circles here, trying to figure this one out. Okay. So oh yeah, let me this is not helpful to me to do that, so I'll actually get rid of it. Okay, let's just go back to trying to figure out where this is supposed to go. If I actually just move okay, let me think about this. If I remove this and I remove this, this should have the effect of moving this, like it'll squish them past each other so that the midpoints of both of them are in the center point there, if I'm understanding this correctly. Oop. Oh, didn't capture the change. Yeah, it's moving both in the same direction, which is not right. So for child in content, let M be the midpoint . This should be unchanged, right? Like this is immutable data, so that shouldn't move. The two midpoints of these should not be identical prior to moving. They should be different. Why are they coming out as the same? That I don't understand yet. Also, I haven't used V, so let's just not clutter this up more than it needs to be. Right? It doesn't make any sense that one would move and one wouldn't. Right? One is not working, the other is. That's what it appears to be. What's going on? I am very lost. Okay, if I redefine A for a minute here to be, so nothing's changed, I'm just getting the data up to, I'm just refreshing for no real reason. If I just get rid of try 2 here, okay, so that blue dot is the midpoint of just try and not anything else. Wait, is that accurate? 1 second, let me see this here. Yeah, the blue dot here is the midpoint of, oh, it shouldn't be group A, it should just be A, but that doesn't, it shouldn't make a difference. Okay, good. That's a good thing. Right, so AM, right, is the A midpoint, where A is the group, which is try in this case. And now here, A, if I rotate this, or if I don't rotate it, does it, so that doesn't move. It also doesn't do anything, which makes sense here because I commented out the rotate, so it shouldn't do anything at all. Because, especially, well, that might just be a fluke though, right? That's the thing I'm struggling to understand. If I do the same idea with this, the blue point moves, but now this is wildly over there and not where it should be. So what's happening? What is going on? That's the wrong one. Okay. That's where it needs to be. That's not where it is. Okay, this rotate 0 is doing something funky. Okay. I'm getting a little tired of this, unfortunately. Okay. Right, so this triangle is not being rotated, it's just being translated. It's in a group, but it's in a group by itself. Therefore, the group midpoint is at the midpoint of the triangle on its own, right here. When I rotate the group, it calculates, in theory, what is the oops. It should have no effect. And that is correct. Wait a minute. me think about it one more time. Okay, this is wrong because it needs to move. No, it is right. Yeah, because you have midpoint. I'm going over this again and again, and it's driving me nuts. Okay, this should be right. This is some new global position. This should move the child I should only have to move the child negative m, because m is the global position of its midpoint. Okay, so if I do that, oh shoot, that's, man, still not quite getting it. Not quite getting it. This doesn't make sense to me. I just don't get it. I'm really struggling. I'm gonna go to the washroom and I'll be back to think about this more. Yeah. Alright, back at it. Back at it again. Do 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 do. All right. So I'm just looking at my Twitter here, and I'm getting like, I mean, engagement, quote unquote, just a very small amount of like likes and retweets and stuff, which is great. I don't know that it actually brings people into watching, but that's okay. It's a starting point. That's all right. I'm so bad at like the whole self-promotion thing, you know, sharing my own stuff around like this. I don't like doing it, but I shouldn't be bothered by it, so I'm learning how to actually do it, like, you know, nicely and effectively. Okay. This here, this rotate 0, should have no... Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Should not have any effect on this. It should not move things at all, but it is moving things, and that's not good. That's wrong. It's incorrect. Okay, let's think through this. Let's think through this. Well, if I translate something to 1010, its position is at 1010, right? Oh, you know what? Let me do it this way first for a minute. Let's actually svu/translate 1010 try. Okay. These points are at some position. If I now translate it again, 1010, so I double translate, the points are again moved. Right, so finding the midpoint of the child finds it globally, so translating wherever you're at as the child element let me figure this out. Rectangle svg/rectangle 10, 5. Sure, that's fine. Okay. It shouldn't be moving it like that. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. I have to figure this out. I have to figure this out. Must figure it out. Let's just do this, try to get something going here. Okay. Okay, I have A is nil, that's fine. Let's just find it again. Okay. A is just a triangle, which I'll get back to that now in here. Try 2. Should be the pink triangle. Good. Okay, so I have A is, it's not undeclared, that's weird. Maybe okay, there we go. Okay, ASDF, I might have, there we go. ASDF A. Okay, so it is wrong. See this here and this here? It's moved things around for some reason that I can't fathom at the moment. So if I do this, GMX, GMY, have a look at that result. Okay, so there's a real and a valid number as far as I can tell. Let's have a look at if that's right. So if I do SVG slash midpoint of A, and if I do SVG slash midpoint of last A, it is indeed correct. So the G midpoint of that is currently correct. Okay, so now instead of this, let me do for each child in the content list, calculate M and XFM, and let's just return, actually let's do this, M, XFM, XFM. Then I'll return XF content. Oops, I saved it, so I'll have to do A maybe. Ah, that's my bad. Right, so this makes sense. These 2 points are the same. The group midpoint and the child midpoint of this situation where there is only one element are equivalent. That makes sense to me. Now, if I redef A for a moment to have both of these things and run this again, here's where I'm confused. The group M is 10, 10 or close to it, and these are different here. This one wait, I've just briefly confused myself here. Yeah, I only need to look at M in this case. The midpoint of each child is different. One of them is 10, 10, and the other one is like we saw last time. That makes sense. These are not correct, I don't think. This is where this, it appears to be, is where that appears to be where the problem lies. Okay, so how do I fix that? That's my question. That's my question for myself. So what I happen to know is that if I have a look at the points from line A here, if I get the points of that, these are the correct values. Approximately 6, 11.6, and then approximately 10.7 and 11.6. Those should be the right midpoints of the children after transformation. That's the correct thing. So what's wrong? That's the golden question. Okay. Excuse me. So doing this, wait a second, maybe I've figured it out. Maybe. Let me think about this. Okay. No, I did not figure it out. Well, okay, so anyway, that's just peachy keen. Peachy. That's just peachy. Right, so like if I do this, let's just chip away at this. Right, so this here and this here, that makes sense. It's like they're close to the 0, 0 axis, which is what I want. And then this is doing something wrong, I think. Let me step this back up for a minute. Let me, if I do this, XFM, okay. Oh, what? Oh yeah, no, that is what I wanted. So if I do map, well, no, let's just take first of that, okay? And we'll do svg slash. Oh, wait a second. I want to retry this test for a second. This should have the same output as the one before it, yeah. And this should change now. If I rotate by 45, yes, that's very close to the correct things. Yeah. Then all I should need to do is add back the GM like this, right? Okay, those are the correct positions of X. So XFM is the right spot. To move it when it's all done. Yes, okay, so that is theoretically fine. Okay, so I'm up to this point and it's, in theory, it's okay. So if I only translate if I do these two translates, let me see here. Okay, so now, boy oh boy. Oh, okay. Okay. Right, now I'm at a point where I need to figure it out. That's all I'm saying. I just need to figure it out. It's craziness. Okay, so if I've done that, so now let me test if I do svg slash midpoint over this set of things. They're both at 0, 0. which is wrong. That's wrong. Okay. No, it's not wrong. That's what I need. That's what I want. I want them to be both at 0, 0, right? Because then I can rotate it. Although, technically, let's test this out now. So if I do nothing at all to it, the midpoints are what I expect. And then if I rotate it, the midpoints should also not change. Okay, so that's true. So that's good. So, doing this, the midpoints should be at 0, 0, which okay, they're not at 0, 0. Why would that be the case? Are they different if I do this? They're different, but I don't understand why. Okay. I'm very confused right now. Let me assume that it's related to that as an issue first. Okay, that for now is part of the problem. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm just trying to focus today. It's been a tough week in terms of the focus and getting things done thing. This is something I think I need to really work on for myself going forward. In general, it's planning my day, focusing on the tasks I set out, those sorts of things. They kind of, I wander around in my mind and never quite get what I expect done. And I feel like there's ways that I can improve that. Not like for the sake of being productive, but for the sake of like actually achieving what I want to be doing. Like I want to be working on these libraries and stuff and making a CAD product that actually, could be helpful for people. But it's hard work, right? So I should really set up my life, my work life anyway, around making that process as smooth and consistent as possible. A little bit of a weakness of mine, that side of things, planning something out, executing it in an appropriate manner. I don't have an excuse for it, I just have to practice doing it, I don't know why that popped into my head. Just because I'm having a hard time with this today, I think. That's the reason. Okay, so we're at we have the situation where both of these are correctly rotated and very close or exactly at 0, 0, 0, right? These are e to the negative 15, negative 16. Floating point approximations are their own can of worms, but I'll call it 0 for now. Now, excuse me, since XFM is the correct spot for one child, doing this should work. Okay, those look like the right numbers as the midpoints of those things. So why on earth am I not getting the correct results? That's my question. Let's just try it. Successfully compiled. That's good. Will it be successfully rotated? Ooh, this might be the one. Okay, that's very promising. Okay. I'm happy with that so far. Ah. Things are so promising. Why did that happen? Is it this? I was so close, so close, so close. Oh my, wait, what? Okay, that's not the issue. This one here makes no sense to me. It was very close to what I needed, I thought. Okay, let's do this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just never gonna work. For real? Okay. I don't understand. Okay, so I have the right positions, but they're assigned to the wrong children. Why is that? Why did that happen? Do I have to rotate them? This doesn't make any sense to me. This won't be right either, I don't think, right? Like, oh, well, first of all, that's not valid code. That is a wild shot. I don't think it's right. At this point, I have nothing to lose because I'm completely lost and confused. Okay, that might... Okay, we're getting there. What? Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's been an uneventful stream, unfortunately, because of this. Starting to feel the pressure. What's going on? I am calm. I can figure it out. I just have to figure it out. Okay, back to messing around with this. Let's define A. To be this. Okay, that's good. Okay, now the SDF. Okay. If I look at A, the first path is, oh right, I didn't color them. Okay. just thinking about drawing things on paper here. This rotate here, like that doesn't make any sense to me. That shouldn't matter. Or like it should be rotated the same direction. Okay. Well, let's move this back here. That shouldn't be part of it. Grasping at straws, in case you haven't noticed. Right, see that? Rotated 180, which doesn't make any sense. But does this correctly transform? Okay, so what is the deal there? So now it's working in the sense that it's rotating everything in a nice way, but why? Well, okay, so barring the weird glitches at at nice angle increments, it's working. But why on earth, if I rotate 0 degrees, right, the expectation is that it doesn't actually rotate a thing 180 degrees like that. That doesn't make any sense. That's ludicrous. It doesn't make sense. So instead of trying to think through that, I'm just going to be lazy and try to fix it here. Oh, did I not? Okay, that's wrong. That's weird. Right, didn't solve it. Oh, I did something. I did a goof. Okay, this might. Okay, this might be the ticket here. Refresh. Save it. Okay, promising. No rotation, looks like that. Rotation, 0 rotation, looks the same, 10 degrees. Oh my goodness, I think I nailed it. Barring decimal point weirdness. Yeah. Okay, for the sake of moving on, I can live with that for the time being. So now, yes, okay, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. All right, let's make just a final. Okay, let's make a nested group structure here. Okay, so SVGG contains this, and it also contains this group, which I'm going to translate 1010. Ooh. SVG/translate. That's of course what I mean. Of course. Oh, that's promising. This, okay. I finally think I got to the bottom of this ridiculous problem I've been having. Oh my goodness. SVG/rotate. Rotate 90. Oh my goodness. Okay. Finally, I think I can head back to testing out the real deal here. Let's have a little look at this and see what turns up. I was very close, and it's not a lost cause yet. This is a little bit wrong here, but that might be okay, because it might actually just be needing to translate these to a different position. Okay. All right, that makes me so happy. Oh my goodness, I don't believe it. That was ridiculous. Okay, I'm gonna start poking at this, but I'm gonna go to the washroom first for a minute, because this might be not as hard to solve as it appears. It might be okay. Okay, huge step in the right direction, that's for sure. That is certain. Okay. Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm wondering a little bit about potential, well, slight potential problem relating to, well, no, it's not a problem. It's a ergonomics kind of thing here. So what a car alarms going on. What do I mean by ergonomics? Let's see if I could illustrate very quickly what I'm talking about. This here, if I comment out this line, okay, that's not a problem. This one here, what am I looking at actually? Oh, sorry, I'm thinking about the wrong. That's that. Well, actually here, maybe this is illustrative of what I'm talking about. If I move this instead of 875, 1.25 inches divided by 2 is what? 625. Does this put that flush with that? And then does this one? Okay, so that's actually not a problem. On there. Okay, that looks okay. Here, wonder if this gap actually is, see, this doesn't make sense to me. Why is this? Wait a second. Thinking. This. The difference here times 2, 0.875, right? The gap is half an inch. But for these, which are 2.5 inches square, right? The edge from the center is 1.25 away, so it should be 1. Let me see if my brain's making sense here. Okay, so why are those so? Let's just go to 0. Okay, here, why are those not exactly lined up with each other? Right, that is what I mean by ergonomics. It's not a problem, but it is confusing. And the reason that they're not, oh, that's not what I meant to do. I meant this one, right? This shape, those two shapes are exactly overlapping one another, right? So you would kind of expect this shape to do the same, but why don't they? The reason for that is because the midpoint of that shape is not at its bounding box. So that is a problem a little bit. So I don't have a great solution to that, right? Because now the problem is I have no idea what the weighted midpoint of that is. And actually, let me think about this for a quick second. The only reason that's true is because of how my midpoint calculation is determined. And it's not using, it should really be using a sort of convex hull type situation of all of the points that are relevant to the shape itself. Does that make sense with what I'm saying? Oh man. Yeah, this is going to be tricky. I'm really trying to think of the right approach here, and I don't. It's not coming to mind. Right. So well, at least I'll get this back to a nice visual state, and got a lot of thinking to do about how I want to really approach this so that this stuff becomes much easier to assemble. So by that I really do mean basically this here. If I look at BB-C is just one of these shapes, and the translation here for all of these different shapes, if I just center them all just as a visual here, even this line, they're all bunched around the centers, and the rotations, by the way, I think are working just fine now. They're all off by 1 because of potential glitches like that. So those glitches are, like I said, a different thing that I'm not going to bother to solve right now, but okay. Okay, so I don't know how many inches I have to move each of these components to be aligned visually the way I want them to be. They're all centered about their pivot points, not around their bounding box centers, right? That's the thing. And it's a little tricky because if I want to I really don't know the smart way to do everything. let's see if basically maybe there's a better way to summarize what I'm trying to say. I think I could show it with bounding box B is this rectangle and this other shape offset. If I remove that other shape, all of those shapes move because the group midpoint is the reference point for everything. So basically, so here, like, there's kind of a few different ways to say what's the middle of a thing. You can have the geometric middle, which for something like a square is easy and a rectangle is easy to get, half the width, half the height. And there's a weighted center, like the center of gravity. If it were a piece of rigid board, you would put your finger at that gravity at that point to balance it on your finger, right? That in the case of a square, it is in the middle, but in the case of an isosceles triangle, that's in some point closer to the base. But in terms of rotating things geometrically, if you've got a triangle, it might be nice to rotate it about the center point of its bounding box, not its gravitational midpoint. And this is true as well of arbitrary polygon shapes. So I've got this, excuse me, this sort of, I'm battling in my mind between the two ideas here of how to handle rotating objects and things. Yeah, does that make any sense? I could, just for sake of trying to figure it out, I could do well, okay, here, let me see if this makes any actual difference. I'm not sure if it will, but it's maybe worth a try. Let me go over to the rotate element for groups and put in here the f/midpoint of the result of bounds of into k props content. Right, so what I'm doing here is calling this bounds function, which calculates the bounding box of a group of objects. So if it still works fine, these will be in a different spot when I make a change here. Huh. I'm surprised that didn't do anything. Oh, it broke it. Okay. That's fine. Let's inspect this for a minute. Console. Oh yes, classic. This old problem, eh? Yeah, okay. Bounds. What? Right. If I just do bounds BBA, svg/bounds BBA, it works. It's one list. I keep messing this up, and it should be straightforward. I don't need to apply concat to that unless it returns a list of things, right? Like if I did that, oops, that's not what I meant. Okay, this glitches out when okay. So I guess I should never need to apply concatenate to that, right? Because bounds of all content run bounds on one group that has a bunch of rectangles. Yeah, okay, so it can return, there's now multiple what? So this function is not complete. It doesn't work properly yet. Okay, so that I can't use that then. Not at the moment. Okay, well, ouch. Let me instead well, I guess I should fix that. Okay, so bounds on content. Okay, that produces a weird result. If I just do a group with only one thing in it, it messes up. if I do something with two things in it, it probably will work. It does. Okay, so this here is not good logic yet, right? That's the problem I've got. And in fact, actually, if I did this, map bounds to content, that might fix that, right? Maybe. That might be the lazy solution. Oh, and this will be broken until I detangle that. There we go. Okay. Right, so where was I with this? Okay, so now it's working kind of anyway. There we go. Right, so using that, now I want to check all I want to change. Oh, look, that might have fixed the problem. That might have been what I was looking for. Now this, I just want to change by adjusting BB-C back to what it was before, which is this. Not quite what I need. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. So the reason for that is not sure. Now actually it does beg the question, if I pop this back in there, okay, that still renders correctly, so it's not necessarily, let's adjust this scratch thing for a minute, just play around with it a little bit to see how right or wrong I might be. Oh, that was not the thing I wanted to rotate. This one. Okay. So it's still kind of working anyway. Okay, so that's confusing me a little bit here, but otherwise it kind of looks like I'm heading down the right path in terms of using the bounding box center of a group as the center to use for moving things around and whatnot, like as the basis for positioning, I guess is a clearer way to say that, instead of using the weighted midpoint of a collection of shapes in a geometry. Now, one way I could change that a little bit is to basically, for every shape, get the outline of it in points, then basically do what's called a convex hull of those points, and then use the midpoint of the convex hull for the group's midpoint. Now, what would potentially be the benefit there is if I have this situation here where I've got a shape inside another shape, I would just get its footprint basically instead and use the footprint midpoint, which will be, in this case, the same as the bounding box center. That's ignoring the probable thing of technically these line endpoints probably are shifting things around a bit. So again, not perfect. I'm going to turn on my light for a minute and then goof around with this for a little bit just to see if it's a rounding problem or a fundamental problem. Isn't that fun? Okay, bounding box C. Unfortunately, oh, you know what? I don't think it is. I'll get that light. I am perplexed. Okay. Okay. So, not exactly what I want, but really not bad. So, the particular reason why I think this is still off here is because these are polygon shapes. I actually wonder, this is now a tangent again. If I do this, does it break? Interesting. Okay, so I've implemented different behavior clearly for polygons and path polygons, so that's maybe an inconsistency I need to work on. Let's do this one as well. Okay, so yes, okay, so here I see this is the deal here. The difference between polygon and path polygon is I haven't changed the polygon rotation approach. And so the polygon will rotate about the first point that's specified. So that's why, if you look at this first one here, this one in the top left quadrant is the shape that I want. And every subsequent rotation has the group components shifted around. Okay, that's not good. That's not what I want. What I want is this behavior where the group stays intact as you designed it, and it just rotates about its own center instead. What's happening here is when you rotate a polygon about its first point, not about its midpoint, the bounding box, or I should say if you rotate either about its first point or about its bounding box, actually, it's only true. Let me see if what I'm saying is actually true. I think what's going on is this. for the polygon, not the path polygon, I am using the bounding box center as its point of rotation. The problem is with square or rectangular shapes, the bounding box center will change as you rotate the object. So if you put a rotation on and then you apply a rotation later, it'll rotate about a different point, and so it will move around based on the rotations applied to it, and that's no good. You need, if you want to apply rotations to a group of components, you need a consistent point to calculate about which it can always rotate true. And in the case of polygons, that true point is its midpoint. So this could be a tad tricky, or I just live with it the path polygon way, which will allow rotations of groups the way I want, but it'll just make positioning things a little trickier. What's better? I have to think just a little bit harder about some of this, that's all. I also don't even know if what I just said about this is even true. Okay, if I make this 0 and this 0, yes, they do. Oop. There we go. This is the only trick, the only tricky bit. Path polygon. Oops. Right, so what's happening here is all of the copies of it are now not changing, like they're not being morphed based on their rotation, but they're all wrong because I have to do these translates to different locations. So what do I mean by that? Basically, I mean, let me see BB-B for a second here. This rectangle and this translate, that just makes sense. It's nice and simple. Now if I go over to this one, this path polygon midpoint isn't going to make any sense. So what I probably should do is something like maybe I should build some helper functions for this sort of thing. Right, like this if I run this, it's moved these points are not in the same spot as if I run it with Polygon. If I run it with Polygon, it doesn't calculate any new positioning of these points. If I run this path, is it in Polygon path? Here, it first calculates the midpoint of the given points and then translates everything to be around the midpoint. And the midpoint of this, I think, is not the same as the midpoint. Oh, well, maybe things aren't as bad as I thought. Maybe this isn't really all that big a deal. Let me have a quick think about that. So if this polygon is centered around 1.25, makes reasonable sense, I actually can just do this. Save that. Oh, well, really? Oh, that's right. Okay, there we go. That's in a good spot now. Now this polygon should be translate 0.625. Oh, really? How weird. What? What's going on? I don't know what's happening. Okay. Oh, I think I see one little problem with what I've just done here. This polygon, compile warning, eh? Yeah. F/midpoint of this. Yeah, okay. So that is... Wait, why is that the case? 1.25 divided by 2 is 625, yeah. Let's translate it back. Let's ignore the translate for a moment. So this is the shape that I'm working with for the time being. This one is just a line, and it's yeah, shouldn't that be? That should be, right? That line is in the right spot. Why does it look weird though? That doesn't make sense to me. Oh, you know what? It's probably fine. It's just exactly overlapped. So it's a dotted line, but it's probably looking strange to me because it's exactly in line with the solid line of this particular shape here. So I don't need to worry about that. That's okay. Right. So that does mean, what does that mean? What does it mean? Right, so what's the deal with this one? svg/translate 1 0. Let's give it a softball. See, that's funky, right? The rotation is sometimes screwing up the position of points in the path calculation, so I do need to solve that because it just doesn't make sense. It should not be so picky. What? Like that? None of that makes sense. I'm mildly distressed by that. Okay, so it's working, and there it's not working anymore. Right. What? Oh, man. Okay, that is a problem that I don't know how to solve right now. And this just isn't even rendering properly, it looks like. Let me see what happens if I just translate it 5 instead. I don't know. Okay, so that's not helping me. I think it's almost time for me to call it a day. Nice quiet stream, which can be fine. Sorry, I'm distracting myself again. It's been the theme for the day. It's been the theme for the week. Let's not make it the theme for my life. That wouldn't be very, very nice. Okay, what can I do to kind of fix this up with minimal effort? I don't know that that's possible. Nor is it really a good way to approach things anyway. Let's be honest here. This at least looks kind of nice. Proof that it can work. Okay. I guess I've accidentally made my life harder than anticipated. There, it's all totally weird now. I love it. Let me try this old thing where I go from the other side. Okay, that doesn't solve it. Right. Let me see what it looks like if I just do 1. Okay, so the single one is working. So the composability of these things is not as good as I would have expected it to be, or I'm doing something really wrong. I don't currently understand why the rotation will I guess it might just be an accumulation. Like, things get worse when you group things up more, and more spots can kind of go randomly wrong at different rotations. It might just be an accumulation of error in like floating point calculations. Too many calculations where there's really, really close to 0 values and then they end up really large by accident or something like that. That might be it. Like, if you divide 2 really small numbers that aren't 0, you can get a really huge number. Maybe that's it. Maybe if I put nearly 0 guards around the rotation calculations, then it can maybe that can fix it. Maybe that might be it. Okay, so last thing I'll do before I go is just position this triangle in a nice position. I'm so tired now. This is a slog for me today, but I am proud that I've done it. And just before I get going, well, first of all, why is this? Oh, okay, I was gonna say, oh no. Let me sort this out for a second. Right, so if I do svg slash midpoint of this, I'm a little confused. Right, 0. Close enough to 0. Okay, here, this kind of thing might be why the points are hopping around like crazy through a rotation. These are two small numbers, right, that you and I would call 0 due to the fact that they're very, very small. But they end up, when you do this, right, when you divide the one by the other, they end up large relatively, right? It's half, which, I mean, you can see by inspection here. 4.4, 2.2, right? And if you do that, they're way, way tinier, but that might be kind of the general source of when I do rotates and rotates and rotates of groups and groups and groups. The error of being close to 0 on a lot of different things and then moving it around more just accumulates into things going wildly off track for one particular angle. I think that's probably what that's about, and I really should fix that because it will be important. But, oh, excuse me, that was a tangent to what I'm trying to figure out, which is, okay, if I do the midpoint of this, the midpoint is very close to 0 because it's centered around that. What was I actually trying to do, though? I was kind of interested in getting the... Oh, right. Actually, if I now do f/midpoint of the points here, I get this, which is not... If I multiply 0.5375 times 2, right, I get 1.075, which is not any of these measurements, right? So my point is, the midpoint of this shape is not the same as the midpoint of, or it's not calculated in this, it's not being calculated in the same way. Oh, which makes sense because it's not, yeah, never mind. That makes sense to me. Here's what I wonder about a little bit. If I do the bounds calculation of this shape, and then I do f/midpoint of that, there we go. We get the 0875. Wait a second. Oh yeah. What am I saying? Oh, right. If I do 0875 plus the 5375, this should be 625, right? Yeah. So the difference, right, basically what I just calculated is, so the bounds of that shape centered around its midpoint they're offset to this position, and if you add that offset to the midpoint of the original points, like I just did here, you get the halfway measure of the bounding box there, which is what I would have liked, or which is kind of what I would want to center it on. Does that make any sense? I'm not going to worry about it for this explanation, so let it be what it is. This triangle is the last thing I'm going to move, and then I'm going to call this stream for the day, because I'm getting closer to being able to kind of just put the fuel to the fire and get this going faster, because a lot of the inner workings are finally making sense in my head. Not everything, but it's getting closer. And it means I can clean things up a little bit too, which is nice. Okay, where's the triangle now? That's the last thing I want to... Okay, this is the triangle here. And the translation is this. I'm going to arbitrarily move it. It's definitely too far. It's pretty good. That's probably too much. Yeah, let's just leave it like this. I think that's good. Okay, save that. Let's unleash this beast for one last check and then I'll get going. It's awful. Oh man. Right, so me doing this weird sort of messing about with decimal points like this is not a solution. Not even close. Oh wait, that one was good. And now this one. Okay, not solved, but we have visual consistency. Oh my goodness. So you can tell, well, maybe that's my imagination. I was gonna say at different zoom levels you can kind of tell that the lines are not straight because they don't look crisp, but you might not even be able to tell that in a stream or like on your browser, right? This might not, it might be compression. Anyway, I am just yammering at this point. I am tired and a little bit sick of looking at my own code for right now. This is stepping in the right direction, admittedly not a real solution because of things like this, but all in all, not terrible, but needing a bit of work here and there. So that's that. I'm nearly at this stage, and then this, and then adding labels. All of that stuff I hope to get done in the relatively quick time, and I'll keep going from there. Okay. That's all I got. That's all I've got. Doesn't look like much at all, but it's making progress a little bit. And that really is going to have to be all for me today. All right. Anyone tuned in at all now? Thanks for tuning in. Anyone watching this not live, if you have feedback or anything, let me know. I would be honestly a little bit surprised if anyone watched a VOD all the way to the end of this, especially a stream like this, unless you're just putting it on as background noise. It was a hectic, frustrating stream on my end. It wasn't a perfect programming day. So if you tuned in at all, I do appreciate that very much. I've got nothing left to say for the day. I will be back tomorrow streaming, and I think I'll probably not stream this. I'll probably stream something a little more fun. Maybe animations again. Maybe, I don't know what, but probably not this, because I'll be slowly going insane if I have to keep streaming this stuff. I'll have to work on it silently off stream, and that's okay. I actually don't mind that, but doing it on stream the whole time, not perfect. Anyway, that is really gonna be it for me for the day. All right, I shall leave. Have a good night.